Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Chat UTD, and this is my post-match reaction to the Bournemouth game on Saturday. There's a line in a song that goes, "If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor," and that, over the last 10 years, has come into my mind so many times whilst watching and talking about United. I saw us win everything under Ferguson. We didn't always get everything we wanted. We didn't win everything every season, but even when we fell short, you knew that there was an application from the players, there was an appetite amongst everybody around the club to maximise the potential within the club at that time. And if I'd have grown up watching West Ham or Derby County, if I grew up watching West Ham, this would be normal, what we're watching now. If I grew up watching Derby County, 6th in the Premier League, 7th in the Premier League, would be incredible, of course. But I didn't grow up watching West Ham. I didn't grow up watching Derby County. I grew up watching Man United in one of the best eras of their history. And I don't apologise for having really high standards and expectations of my club. And those standards and expectations are not close to being met. The persistence with Marcus Rashford is problematic in many ways. Symbolically, it sets a really dangerous precedent. You reward mediocrity, you're going to get more mediocrity. On a wider scale of impact, what must people like Ahmad think when Marcus Rashford is being picked week in, week out? What must Kobe Mainoo think? What must Rasmus, Garnacho, people like that think? What tone does it set to them when the highest paid player, the highest profile player, the untouchable player does nothing to warrant his place in the team, and yet is picked game after game after game? It sets a really, really dangerous tone and dangerous precedent. I've mentioned many times before that I call it the zombie effect at United, where a good player will come into the team from either from outside or from the academy, and we think, God, this lad's promising, he could be a really top player for us. And after a short period of time, their standards just fall through the floor. And it's because of what's around them. It's no coincidence, it's happened too many times now. It's because of the culture. And your culture is set by its leaders. Your culture is set by its highest paid players, highest profile players. So if your culture is set by those people, then one of those people is Marcus Rashford. It annoys me that Bruno and Rashford are seen as one of the same thing. They're not. Bruno, is he the best leader in the world? Maybe not, but he probably is our leader. And he can be erratic, and he can be frustrating, and he makes decisions that aren't great sometimes. But you can't question his work rate. You can't question his application. You can't question his body language. And he isn't the highest paid player in the team. So if I'm Mainoo, I'd be looking at Bruno far more than I'd be looking at Rashford as a role model. It really concerns me that his presence amongst this group could have a really damaging effect. You've got young players who are impressionable, then you've got your, well, I'd say like maybe the moderates, you people who are probably good eggs but could be taken in the wrong direction. And then you've got your people like Harry Maguire and, a seasoned pro who aren't going to be influenced probably by anybody. But Ineos are supposed to stand for change. If you want change, you have to go to the biggest example you can make, and the biggest example you can make is Marcus Rashford. Now, if he's pulling up trees and scoring goals every week and playing fantastically well, and or even doing none of that but showing a brilliant attitude, then cool, you keep him and you continue to have him as your centrepiece, or maybe he just is a player in the squad and you think he's worth keeping, but he's not doing anything. If you're going to have favourites, and I don't know whether it's Erik ten Hag picking Rashford as his favourite or whether the club is enforcing this because he's a club favourite, If you're going to pick favourites, they have to be good. They have to be able to do things that others can't do. And maybe they'll have aspects to their game that we would want to be different, but we can forgive those aspects because there's a special element to them. That isn't the case with Rashford. If Ten Hag makes him, he has made him, a favourite of his, he gets nothing back. He gets nothing. As I say, you reward mediocrity, you get more of it with Rashford. How long are we going to wait to persist with this fella when he gives you nothing? We've got, 6 games to go in the league season? Where is he suddenly going to start scoring goals again? When is he suddenly going to start making some kind of impact? When's he going to start running? That'd be a start. I was thinking about this the other day. I thought about the Liverpool game in the Cup. And Rashford wasn't brilliant, but he was better. He ran around more. He pressed. He showed how disappointed he was when he missed a really clear chance at the end. He was really like broken by that chance that he missed, and it's good to see that he cared so much. And he scored a good goal. He did a job for the team. And I asked myself the question: if he did that for the rest of the season, would that change? Would that make me change my mind about him and make me think, well, actually, it's worth keeping him around on 350 grand a week? No, it wouldn't, because that isn't good enough to justify 350 grand a week. That's bare minimum stuff. And he's not even doing that. So the truth of it is, Rashford can't justify the money he's on because he's not good enough. Rashford at his best isn't good enough to earn that. He's had one season where he scored 30 goals. And that's it. James Beattie scored 26 goals one season. Did we buy him and put him on 300 grand a week? No, he stayed at Southampton, went to Blackburn and places like that, which is about his level at the time. There's concerns also, of course, about Casemiro in terms of his performances of late. Really not good enough. He looks every bit his 31, 32 years and more. Has he been bitten by the zombie effect? Perhaps a little bit, but I think the truth is he probably wasn't quite as good as we made him out to be last season. As I said in the video on Friday, because we've been so starved of anything decent, when we get anything half decent, we give it 5-star ratings. He was never world class last season. He just was better than anything we've had in that position for a long time. But we got carried away, and what we're seeing this season is the reason why Real Madrid let him go. I'll never have a go at Casemiro. I think he did a superb job last season, and I've enjoyed having him as a United player, but his performance has dropped massively. And you need him to be a leader in the team again. You need him to set a precedent. You need him to run around more. You need him to... Can he do that? I don't know. But he showed something prior to this, I suppose. As has Rashford, in fairness, last season. But Casemiro has obviously a great career at Real Madrid, winning Champions League after Champions League and La Liga after La Liga. He's one of them, the players of his generation in that position. I want to break down this dangerous myth that these players keep getting managers sacked, because it's a comment that's thrown around with no substance and quite a provocative comment to make, and groups together numerous players when in reality it's just not true. So let's go through the 11 on Saturday, the starting 11, and see who out of them has got managers sacked. Onana, no. Dalot, no. I can never say the lad's name. Willie, the young kid, centre-back, obviously not. Maguire, no. He's not got anyone sacked. He might not be great, but he's not got anyone sacked. Wan-Bissaka, no. Mainu, no. Casemiro, no. Bruno, definitely not. Bruno's almost single-handedly got us into the Champions League in his first season, and for 2 out of Solskjaer's 3 full seasons, he was our best player by a country mile. So he hasn't got anyone sacked, and he's not getting Ten Hag sacked. Garnacho, no. Rasmus, no. What you'll notice about all of these players is that they've only been there for Ollie and Ten Hag. So these players get managers sacked. Which players are we talking about? Which managers are we talking about? Because players that down tools on Mourinho, and some of the players that are down tools on Solskjaer are not in this list. No, none of these players that I've just mentioned there are downing tools. Some of them aren't good enough, but that's a different story. It brings me to the 11th player, Rashford. He's the only one in that 11 who has been here through Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ole, and now Ten Hag. He didn't get Van Gaal sacked. He was brilliant for the second half of Van Gaal's final season. He didn't get Mourinho sacked because he wasn't a particularly prevalent player for Mourinho. He didn't get Solskjaer sacked, and he's not getting Ten Hag sacked. But if we're using that type of language, I think it's okay to say that he has given a really poor representation of himself in 3 of the last 4 seasons, and that encompasses Ten Hag and Solskjaer. And it's a tone-setting thing as well, like I mentioned at the start. I don't think I've ever seen a player look less interested, and that's been for the last 3 out of the last 4 years. So he has definitely been a strong influence on a dressing room that has down tools at times and has got managers sacked before. But we need to stop with the myth. These players haven't got anyone sacked. And I don't even think Rashford has, but if we're going to use that type of language, he's the only one. With Ten Hag, Eric, all you had to do after the Liverpool game was not do anything stupid. And you'd have had the job for another year. There's nobody out there to take your job. All you had to do was avoid daft results and make some sound decisions. I said a few weeks ago after the Liverpool Cup game, he'll stay unless he does something bonkers. We're in bonkers territory. The things he's saying in press conferences, the decisions he's making, the way he sets the team up, exactly the same. The fact we've got 3 points from the last 4 games, which shows that the Liverpool Cup game was just another false dawn. That's not all on him, but he has to take some responsibility. And every manager, when they get sacked, they have a hill that they die on. If his hill is Marcus Rashford, then I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for him. Because he professes to be a guy that demands the best and demands hard work. Don't tell me that chancer is setting the standards that you think are appropriate for a club of United's size or any Premier League team, to be honest with you. There's complete double standards here as to what you've got the likes of Ahmad, Palestri, who are quality young players who are not getting a look in because you're picking holes in their game, and then he's playing on the left wing every week at the expense of Garnacho, really, because Garnacho's best position is out there, who's a brilliant young player. It's concerning because it makes me just think that really nothing's changed, because I think the club have bulletproofed Rashford, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's written into his contract that he gets a certain amount of game time and things like that. People can call that a conspiracy theory. I call it a truth theory, because there's no other rational explanation as to why he's playing, why he's anywhere near it. As my mate messaged the other day, with all the data they collect now, with all the stats they can keep, how on earth is he in the team? So if that's the hill that Ten Hag's going to die on, it'll be a lonely hill for him, and he will die on it. It's not the only problem. I want to just stress that very clearly. If Marcus Rashford didn't play on Saturday, would we have won the game? I don't know, probably not. Are we going to win the league if we sell him? No. But as I said, it's the presence of him and the tone that sets that is a dangerous thing. I want to just go slightly off piste a little bit to finish, in that it's just something that I keep seeing on social media. United fans becoming like Scousers in their victim mentality. Keep seeing things like decisions that went against United in September being compared to a decision that happened over the weekend, or a player does something that's aggressive and then they throw up the Casemiro getting sent off against Crystal Palace and said that if Casemiro did this, he'd be deported. The fact that pundits scrutinise Ten Hag but they don't scrutinise Eddie Howe, the referees, VAR, is that the reason? Is that the reason why we're not very good? Do we deserve those decisions? Fortune favours the brave. There's been times this season when United have been cowardly in their performances, and it's part of it's part of being a United person, is that you don't always get treated fairly. People hate us, and I don't want it to be any different to that. I can't believe that after 10 years of nothing, we're still so relevant. The day when people start being fair towards us and not scrutinising us is the day we're finally scraping the bottom of the barrel. When you play for Man United, when you support Man United, when you manage Man United, you are going to be scrutinised. You probably are going to get decisions against you because we've ruined people's childhoods for 20 years. So move on. Ferguson's teams had decisions against them. There's this myth that Ferguson had this hold over referees and we never got any decisions. I know I'm biased, but Jesus, I remember watching so many games where I thought this ref may as well have the opposition shirt on. Martin Atkinson pretty much single-handedly gifted Chelsea 2 league titles by decisions he made in their run-ins. One against us, one in a game against United, which I think should have been investigated. It was so corrupt. But you don't win it, next season you come back and win it again. But this is the mentality of the fans, it's the mentality of the players, it's excuse merchants. We'll do better next time. The stuff with the club that being sold is difficult. The manager's too tough. The manager's too easy. He makes us run too much. He doesn't make us run enough. The training's too hard. The training's too easy. It's like it's never any accountability for anyone at United. And the fans are becoming the same. We're not Scousers. Come on, we're better than that. Show some class. If we have a decision against us, you get your chest out. You carry on. Just to wrap up, if Ineos are watching United at the moment, the elephant in the room is Rashford. There's other players that need to go. There's not a lot to salvage from that squad, I don't think. They can't build around it, apart from the younger players and maybe one or two others. But it's okay getting rid of Arnold, and it's okay getting rid of John Murta and bringing in Barada and bringing in Dan Ashworth. But if you've got protected species in your team, then you're doing nothing different to what's been done over the last 10 years. And it doesn't matter who's there because the culture still seems to be being set by the scumbags that run the club in the Glazers. So you need to make some meaningful difference and act on what you've seen. Otherwise, there's no point in you having gone through this process over the last few months that you say you're going through. Okay, I'll wrap up there. Happy Monday. Glazers out.